Prudent Gazali today, we are blessed to have Sitaram Yechuri with us. Sitaram Yechuri, as we all know, is comrade. This most prominent face of left in India is not the usual type of comrade, not restricted to trade unions or just strikes, goes much beyond that, and he has been a key leader in rallying opposition in India. In fact, I remember once he was complimented as de facto leader of opposition in India. But a very constructive outlook. His outstanding qualities include, besides his integrity, that ability to think very clearly and carefully. And what I like of him is he's free of any dogmas and formulas. A product of post-independent India. I think he was born in 1950s. More importantly, he has shaped the mindset in India. He has done his best to do that. Welcome, comrade.
Thank you very much.
Function.
Thank you.
Comrade, in the perception of the man on the street, what is the difference between your party, the Communist Marxist Party of India, or the Congress, the BJP, or the AAP party now, the new party, in their perception? That is my first question. And a sequel to that, is that perception right? What is your perception about those differences and similarities?
Well,
apart from that trite thing that no, all politicians are rogues and everything is dirty.
No, about the people's perception, I mean, I can't really say. But what I would like the people to think about us is that in comparison with the other parties that you mentioned, that the CPIM here really stands for a set of values and policies which we think are essential to unleash the true potential of our people in the country. According to me, the potential of India and the Indian people is not being allowed to flourish. If it were allowed to be flourished with our demographic advantage, with our youth today, who given the opportunity are ruling the roost in all frontier technologies. Your Silicon Valley, information technology is filled with our youth in every company that we are all familiar with in our cyber world. All of them have very key executives who belong to our country. Where the scientific experiments at the CERN laboratory in Switzerland, that underground laboratory, where this very important experiment is going on at the Great Hadron Collider. They're in search of the God particle, that boson, our own Satyendranath Bose's, of his name. In that experiment, more than 200 are our Indian youth scientists. In NASA, more than 40% of the scientists and the technical workforce is Indian. So given the opportunity, our youth can take us to be the leaders of the world's knowledge society. We have that potential. But because of the policies that we pursue at home, we are unable to give our youth good education, health, and employment opportunities. I believe that we have enough resources in our country to do that. But these resources, unfortunately, are either being siphoned off through what I would call crony capitalism, that manifests in corruption or whatever it is, or in creating a small, very small, shining India and a very vast, deprived India. See, so these policies need to be changed. So I would like people to look at the CPIM as a party that has a vision for the future.
But sir, I'm sorry for saying this, but do you realize that I'm not going as far as search of the God particle. A common man is concerned with searching of an honest politician, and they seem to think, name the party and they're birds of the same feathers. Isn't that the perception? What are you going to do to change it?
Well, change it only through practice, because common man is going to only see the practice of the government. Like there is a difference between a person and a person, there is a difference also between a politician and a politician. Now, we, at least of the CPIM, are not in politics as a career. We are not in a politics in order to create sufficient wealth for 7 of my future generations. That is not the objective. We've all, at least I have personally, I mean, I know, and many people in my party have all left possible lucrative careers to actually come in here, because politics is something much larger. It's a question of changing our society, changing the consciousness of our people in order to create a
Sir,
better.
you are a cadre-based party. There is no denial of that. But so is that RSS of BJP. Even the same phenomena happens there. Anyway, that takes me to another question, sir. You have Sita and Ram in your name, but you don't see eye to eye with most of the Ram bugs on most of the issues. How did that transition take place? Were you always like that? Whatever.
Yeah, you see, first of all, you see, RSS could also be a cadre-based party. But the point is, cadre-based parties must have a particular ideological vision or an objective. If your vision is to convert a modern Indian democratic republic into their version of a rabidly intolerant fascistic Hindu Rashtra, then that dedication, I think, is misplaced for the country's sake, and it's dangerous for the country. So cadre-based alone does not give a character to a party. What it gives is what is its vision. And from that comes this attack, because I'm often confronted by the VHP leaders, sometimes on the television shows, saying, "अरे भाई, सीताराम के नाम तुम्हारा है, लेकिन ऐसे बात क्यों कर रहे हो? Why are you saying all this against the Hindutva, with your name being Sitaram?" I said, I said the 2 points I keep telling them. One is that I do not have the democratic right to name myself. I mean, it happens before I know what it is. Like we don't have the democratic right to choose where you would be born. You're born and you come in here. I mean, these are given things. But secondly, I think in terms of the Hindu philosophy, not mythology. In terms of the Hindu philosophy, Sitaram and materialism and atheism is nothing unusual. Remember, the first atheist is as old as Hinduism itself, Charvaka. It comes in, and 4 of your 6 schools of Indian philosophy are materialist based. So, materialism is something, I think, it is actually the legacy of all of us. Except that it's been hijacked by a powerful, idealistic thing into some sort of a very abnormal religious, connotation. But so I don't see any contradiction being Sitaram. And after all, we were all born in our society. By the age of 11, I had my sacred thread ceremony, went through all the Vedic rituals. I know them. So whenever somebody says it, and that is the biggest problem with this RSS as well as. They can't even challenge me on that because I can always answer that back.
Sir, besides the legacy of materialism, Charvaka's legacy or whatever, you are also famous to carry over Harikishan's legacy of coalitions. Do you really envisage a scope for coalitions in India?
Of course. Not only
or it is going to be either this or either that?
No, it cannot be. I'll tell you why. It cannot be for one reason, because I remember in 1996 when the coalition era started, I said for the next 20 years, they will only be coalitions. And exactly in 2014, you had this abnormal. But even this government cannot function unless they are able to take some more people together, like we are seeing today, what's happening in the parliament. The reason why I am saying coalition is the only way is that just look at it, I mean, in a proper scientific way. The social plurality in India will naturally reflect in India's politics. We are a very, very plural society, very diverse society. Now that diversity in social area and a monolithic politics in the political sphere, they cannot coexist. So like we always say, India itself is a grand coalition. After all, between what you have in Goa and what you have, let's say, in Arunachal and Northeast.
So stretching this a little further, why don't you favor a national government wherein all the parties they come together, irrespective of their ideologies, on a common minimum program? You are the magician of coalition. Why don't you propose it?
But common minimum program with certain ideologies is just not possible.
Keeping aside the controversial,
No, you see, controversial or not, the whole, if your
because more time seems to be wasted in fighting with each other.
no, but that fight is inevitable, no, because you see, you just understand, it's a very simple question. What do you want India to be? I am saying it's a modern, secular, democratic republic. What we have given in our constitution 67 years ago, now we are celebrating, Constitution Day, reaffirming it. 67 years ago, when the world, in the colonial world, nobody even dreamt of or even could visualize universal suffrage. And what Ambedkar said when he was presenting this draft constitution, he said, we have given one man, one vote, one value. Something even Western democracies and the developed countries had never given.
But sir, speaking of one vote, one value, recently I was reading about these Haryana Panchayat laws. They said that a voter has to be educated. Now, does it not, and I think the Supreme Court also, or the High Court, they upheld that law.
No.
Doesn't it destroy that fabric of one man, one vote?
Absolutely. Absolutely destroys. That's why, how can you have a common minimum program with the party that's doing that? That's the BJP. That's what I'm saying.
Even the court upheld it.
No, the court upheld what?
Court said it was as per the
No. I understand the court order correctly. The court upheld it, saying that it is the right of the elected state government to have the law for their local body election. The national elections, assembly elections will be governed by the constitution. For the local bodies, that is the division of your rights for the state.
So the constitution becomes untouchable when it comes to a local election.
That is what is now challenged. It should not be untouchable. That is what we are also challenging. We are also, you see, therefore, one man, one vote, one value. That is a given principle. I think nobody can tamper with it. But what Ambedkar said and warned, and what we all also say, but okay, one man, one vote, one value. But we have not given one man, one value. Now, this is the contradiction. The vote of a man is the same value, but the man is not of the same value as the other man.
Sir, you surely are happy with some parts of the constitution of Dr. Ambedkar or of We the People. What are the parts that you are not happy with? There must be some parts you have reservations, you would envisage changes. And I would like to know basically with center-state relations and fundamental rights on those, or the enforceability of directive principles, what you would like to say?
You see, enforceability.
Or the minority rights for that matter.
All of them, I think, are important, necessary, and I would support most of them.